Radio Lewes. Local webcasting for a worldwide audience.
Hello, I'm Richard.
And I'm Matt.
In this show, we'll each select 5 tunes on a particular theme, from songs that make us happy to songs from films. And this week, this is the really exciting week, we're looking at our Desert Island Discs. So our 5 favourite tunes ever. And as you can imagine, this is one of the hardest ones to do. But I have to say, this is one of the nicest ones to do, because it's like being surrounded by your greatest luxury items, the things that you can't live without. It's a really nice feeling knowing that your 5 tunes are all, I just love all these tunes, and I feel very happy to share them with people.
Yeah, it was surprisingly easy to do this one, actually. I did have a list of 50, but then after just listening to them through, these were the ones that just sort of stuck. These are the ones that I knew I could just put back on and listen to again straight away. So yeah, it was good.
And my 5, often, in the past, because I've talked to so many people about music, people say, "Oh, what's your favourite, record ever?" And I'll always give one of them as an answer, and it's kind of become my stock answer. And I got bored of giving that answer, so I sort of think now that it's the one that I'm talking about is in my list, but I think all 5 of them, I would say, on a given day, might be my favourite one ever. So there's no order to mine. They're all just, I love them, and I'm not going to relinquish any of them on any day. So I have to have all 5.
I think the weird thing as well is looking at this list, none of them represent the music that I listen to on a daily basis. There's no sort of electronica in here. There's no dance music. There's no, there's no sort of 90s stuff. Well, one track in there. It's just there are things which are fairly unique, but I think timeless. I would say they're songs that people would have to, it would be difficult to argue with.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
I'll see if I can. So before we get on to our 5 Desert Island Discs, the ones that we love the most, we did have this thought of, trying to do, I don't know, a show, or at least a part of the show, to go 5 songs that we really hate. And actually, we were just saying before this that it's quite hard to come up with things that you hate, because I think I have songs that I think are lazy and cynical. That's what I hate the most, is stuff that's lazy and cynical and boring. And the thing is, there are so many of those that it's hard to kind of nail them down. But I can give it a go. What about you? What's your thought on what riles you about songs? If you were to hate something, why would you really hate it?
It's those songs that are obviously done without passion. Songs that are done, I think, similar to you, actually. They're done to a formula, and the band has hit on a formula, and they just kind of keep trotting it out, and there's no emotion in it. It's just sort of there kind of thing. That's the sort of stuff I don't like.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, anything by Westlife I found troubling, because again, it was so cynical and so bland, so awful. And I really didn't understand why it became popular at all, apart from having millions put into its marketing. Clearly that would be the reason. That was awful. And what else do I really hate? It's really hard. I mean, I tell you what, I hate the song Fairground by Simply Red. That's because
really?
It seems to be, it's him trying to sort of do their version of a dance song, I think, actually. It was almost like it's got this little piano riff in it, and it's sort of something that's wandered along the road, and someone's nicked its tune. So it's been mugged, and someone's taken its tune, and it's wandering along thinking, I've got this great tune. And no, you haven't, mate. You haven't. You've got no tune. You're awful. You're trying to be a dance song, but you're rubbish. So I really hate that.
The weird thing about that song is last week we talked about Flawless by George Michael, where he basically took a dance tune and then sang over it. Mick Hucknall did basically the same thing with that song about 10 years earlier, because it was he just took Give It Up by the Goodmen and put a piano riff and his voice over the top of it, which was just baffling. It's just a baffling thing. Didn't really make any sense at all.
I would add, actually, to songs that I hate, is songs that I really want to stop. Songs that I want to stop before they actually stop. And that is one of them. You know, some songs you'll hear the intro and you think, no, I'm not going to have 4 minutes of my life spent on this. I cannot do this.
I would count in that anything by Stereophonics.
Yes.
I just cannot listen to them. It's like fingernails down a chalkboard to me. It's everything at a just sort of a mid-rock pace, and what's his name's just screechy, horrible voice over the top of it. I just cannot listen. I can't listen to them. I find it physically uncomfortable.
It's earnest as well. It's very earnest and serious. It's basically music for people who don't like music,
but think they do. Because people who like the Stereophonics will evangelize about it.
Like Ocean Colour Scene. Remember that? So, you know, that they could play their instruments. Yeah, it doesn't matter, does it? Doesn't matter. They were awful.
Ocean Colour Scene, when they started, they released one tune called Sway, which was sort of a bit baggy, and that was really good. And I kind of liked them for a bit around the time of that album. And then afterwards, it just became this sort of muddy dad rock boredom.
Yeah. I mean, Ocean Colour Scene are the gateway drug to Top Loader, aren't they? And stay off that, kids.
Yeah, don't go near them.
Anyway,
and then there's stuff like this sort of mid-noughties American R&B like Chris Brown and that kind of stuff is awful. And oh God,
series called
familiar with. I'm off now. Are you familiar with reggaeton? Do you know reggaeton?
No.
It's a kind of music. So my girlfriend's Mexican. I've been in Mexico quite a bit. Every single place you go into in Mexico these days plays this reggaeton, which is like, I can't even describe it, but it's the worst. Imagine the worst noise you've ever heard. It's that. It's sort of electronic. It's sort of R&B. All the voices are auto-tuned. And it's awful, cynical tat.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think what I've tried to do is reserve my greatest ire for anything that's before the year 2000, because from 2000 onwards, I don't understand it, and I'm not meant to understand it. Maybe actually no, maybe 2010, and that's when I became a dad. It actually coincides quite well with when I became a dad and when I became like late 30s. And I there's no reason why I should understand anything that's been in the last, sort of 10 to 15 years. So I don't feel like I have a right to dislike it. I mean, I'll probably dislike most of it. So, I feel I'm allowed an opinion of hating things before 2010. Just my rule.
Fair enough. That's quite reasonable.
But let's go from hate to love, baby. Let's go from hate to love. What are you going with your first one?
I'm going to go with my first one, something that I've played before in a previous show, which I think probably is my favourite song of all time. So I'm not going to bang on about it because we've talked about it at length. But basically, there's no way that I could live without Once in a Lifetime by Talking Heads. It is definitely my favourite tune of all time. It's got everything in it that I love. It's got, the sort of... it's got the weirdness of Talking Heads, but it's also got the bizarrely funkiness of Talking Heads. I don't think we talk about Talking Heads as being a band that makes dance music enough, but they really do make music for dancing too. And Once in a Lifetime is the sort of the pinnacle of that. It's got a great bass line. Tina Weymouth, I think, is underrated as a bass player. People actually actively make fun of her as a bass player, but the bass line in Once in a Lifetime is iconic. And just everything about it is just quality, really. It's brilliant, and it's never dated. It comes on now. It's got a brilliant introduction. It just gets straight in there, and it sounds like it was recorded yesterday.
Brilliant. I mean, what a great choice. Yeah. It's just right up there for me as well. Well, I think without talking too much about it, like you say, we've talked about it a lot already. It's a brilliant tune. But one of the things I was just thinking as you were talking was how, some of the very best songs make you feel good about yourself. So, for example, Talking Heads. I love Talking Heads because I love Talking Heads. But in a way, there's something extra in that I feel good in identifying myself as a person who likes Talking Heads. I feel it kind of not because it's like me going, oh, isn't that cool? It means that it reflects bits of me that I'm proud of. So the fact that I think I've got reasonably diverse tastes, and I like quirky things, I like funky things, I like things with, that are a bit arty and a bit different, and they also takes me back to when we were at school and had lots of fun, and it makes you feel kind of like it's about your identity. I think I don't know. It just only just occurred to me really, but I think a lot of the things that I've selected and think you have as well, just make you feel like it shows some good aspects to yourself and your taste somehow.
Yeah, they're representative of you. It's the same as anything. It's like your taste in anything is representative of you. And I guess it says that we are, like you say, we're sort of quite diverse in our tastes. And there's so much going on in this song that it's almost representative of everything that we love about music.
Brilliant. Well, let's just play it, shall we? This is Talking Heads, Once in a Lifetime. What more do you want? What more do you want? Should we just stop it there?
That's it. The end. Let's just stop there.
The nice succinct show. Okay. Well, if pushed, I'll do one as well. So again, mine are in no particular order. So I'm going to start with the one which is the song that I normally say to people is my favourite song of all time. But I think it does sort of, it's level pegging with these other ones now. And it's Upside Down by Diana Ross. So
yes.
As I've banged on endlessly about Chic in our shows and in the shows that I do as well, that without a doubt they're probably the most influential thing on my taste in my life, I would say. And the stuff that has moved me the most and brought me the greatest pleasure has definitely been, that stuff written by Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards. And this song is from the LP Diana, which is obviously what Chic wrote the whole LP for her, and it's a brilliant LP. But this song, I know it just does everything that a proper Chic song should do. One, it's got very complicated chords in it that you can't replicate yourself. So even though it's just utterly irresistible as a song. I mean, I think personally, if there was a kind of frequency that sort of gets you going, there's something about this song that just absolutely delights me in every single way. And it's also got, if you were just to play me the last 2 minutes of the song where it just repeats itself and changes a little bit before it fades out, I would be so happy. It just makes me, every time I play it, it just gives me complete joy, particularly the last 2 minutes of the song. So I've banged on about it before, but there you go. This is one of my very favourites.
I remember you saying a number of times that this is your favourite song. So yes, and it's deceptively simple, this song as well. When you just listen to it, it sounds like a very good quality pop song, but then when you really listen to it, you hear all the craftsmanship that's going on in it. And I think also it's really evident how happy Diana Ross was singing this song. You hear it, she sings it with such glee. The whole thing just oozes kind of happiness. And I think part of that was because her career was on a downer before this album. And she obviously was listening to these songs and thinking, yes, this is going to put me back on track, because I think the whole album's like that. But that's what's great. It's done with a sort of infectious glee that just makes you want to kind of react to it and dance to it.
And I'd say it's also one of those songs that, from when I've been DJing, if you put this on, everybody loves it. And even if you put it on a Spotify playlist and you play it at a party or something, everybody loves it. I don't know anybody who kind of goes, oh. There's always a reaction from people when you put it on. There's obviously something about it.
Yeah.
So here you go. This is Diana Ross at Upside Down.
I said upside down, you're turning me. You're giving love instinctively. Round and round, you're turning me. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside out and round. Instinctively, you give to me the love that I need. I cherish the moments with you. Respectfully, I say to thee, I'm aware that you're cheating when no one makes me feel like you do. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round. I know you got charm and appeal. You always play the field. I'm crazy to think you're all mine. As long as the sun continues to shine, there's a place in my heart for you. That's the bottom line. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside out and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside out and round, upside down. You turn me, you're giving love instinctively. Round and round, you turn me, I say to thee respectfully. Upside down, you turn me, you're giving love instinctively. Around and around, you turn me, I say to thee respectfully. I said upside down, you turn me, you're giving love instinctively. Around and around, you turn me, I say to thee respectfully. Upside down, you turn me, you're giving love instinctively. Round and round, you turn me, I say to thee respectfully. Upside down, you turn me.
Can we just play that last 2 minutes again?
Go on, then.
So good.
Rewind.
So, right, number 2. What do we got?
I am going to go with the song that finally confirmed my utter undying love for Radiohead back in 1997, believe it or not, which is Paranoid Android. Which, again, I've said this a lot, but it has everything in it that I love about songs. It's massive and epic. It does lots of different things. It's like an opera in a way, because it has so many different sort of facets and sections to it. It's just, I remember the first time I heard it. I was at work and it came on somewhere. Somebody played it to me, and I think there was quite a lot of fuss because it's the new Radiohead song. And I remember the division in the room as it was playing. There were people who just hated it and didn't get it. And I was just sitting there thinking, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my life. And I do not know what it's going to do next. And even now, and it's like once in a lifetime. It's one of those songs that just gets into it immediately. You know, the opening, the introduction is just amazing. It's one of those, whenever it comes up on shuffle and you hear the first few notes, you think, oh God, yeah, God, I'd almost forgotten how great this is, even though I listen to it at least once a week. I absolutely love it. And then obviously the album came out, OK Computer, and it completely, I think it changed my life, actually, OK Computer. I would honestly say that. I was just starting out my career. I was sort of living by myself for the first time, and probably paying for things by myself for the first time. And this sort of, the album came out and seemed like almost a manifesto for me as an adult, in a way. I don't know why, because some of the songs are quite sad and depressing. Not all of them are. Some of them are quite angry, but it's just done with such a statement of intent. And this one in particular is done with such ballsiness. It made me think, yes, I want to go and do what I want to do. And it sort of stood up for that, I guess. Yeah.
It's an amazing song from an amazing album. And I think we've talked about Radiohead a few times. And yeah, I remember this when this came out really, really well. I remember where I was working, how I was feeling. It was good because I was living in London, and I remember loving the Bends because I didn't like their first LP. I loved the Bends, and I thought I was excited to hear what this would be like. And when this came out, it was like you say, it was just really unusual. And I guess it was sort of, people said it was their Bohemian Rhapsody, I guess.
Yeah, it kind of is.
It is, because it's a song of many parts, and they all just sort of U-turns on itself and does lots of different. But it just sounds amazing, and it sounds like a whole. It sounds quite coherent. It's not like it's 4 separate things. It's actually, it just works really well. So yeah, I mean, I can't say much more about it. Absolutely love it. Great tune.
It's almost like everything they've done since, they've done to make up for Pablo Honey, which is a terrible album. It's a terrible album with one good song on it, and it's almost like ever since they've kind of graded everything against that and thought, no, it's just we've just got to be better. We've just got to be better because remember we made that one terrible album. Let's just try and not go there again.
But what a way of doing it, like going in, opening the door, a door that was wide open to any sort of indie wannabes, basically, and then suddenly finding that they've actually got this incredible skill because, there's so many different bands around that time that could have gone the same way, right? You could have had, suddenly, Sleeper made loads of awful records, but maybe they did one record and suddenly they came out with Abbey Road, second album. What happened there? It's rather like that because the Bends,
Yeah.
I don't think Radiohead had given enough credit for the Bends because that is an incredible LP. And it's also a massive turn of style and everything from Pablo Honey. So I think the Bends, it's probably not up with OK Computer, but it's almost there. It's a really brilliant LP. And how they did that after Pablo Honey, I can't imagine because I could see OK Computer following from the Bends because it's really inventive and sonically amazing. But how they knocked something else like this up after Pablo Honey. I mean, maybe they just knocked Pablo Honey out and they thought, right, we've got all these amazing tunes. We're going to put some rubbish ones out. As long as someone buys it, we can do the next ones.
There was a tellingly big gap between Pablo Honey and the Bends. I think Pablo Honey came out in about 92, maybe 93. And the Bends didn't come out till, I'm going to say 96, maybe 95. So there was a good old chunk of time between those two albums. So I think they went away and had a good look at themselves in the mirror.
Right, here we go then. This is the fantastic Paranoid Android by the fantastic Radiohead. Oh, there we go.
Yay.
Fab. Great tune. Great tune. Okay, so my second one is by a band that I haven't actually played yet since we've been doing these shows. And again, I absolutely love almost everything that they do. And it's Röyksopp, sort of Scandinavian funsters that they are. And they just have this ability to write incredible tunes, I think. You know, it's not just dance music. They make really, really amazing songs. And this particular song is, I think, one of the very, very best pop songs that I've ever heard. And it's The Girl and the Robot with Robin. And it is...
God, I love this song.
And this song almost makes me cry, because it's a really emotional, melancholic song. It's about a woman who's basically sat at home all the time because her boyfriend's out and about working, and just focused on other stuff. And it's it's a kind of a sad song, but it's quite a fast sort of pop song, but it's so melancholic. I mean, it's so beautiful the way that they've got these strings that come in, and I've got the hairs on my neck are standing up just talking about this song, and there are so many bits in it that just have got the most incredible chords and tunes. They just turn it on at exactly the right moments in this song. And again, it's as it builds up towards the last minute or two of it, it's just absolutely beautiful. It's also got some of the best lyrics of any song I know. In the first line is, "I go mental every time you leave for work." You've got to love it just for that. And it's just a really, again, like, I don't normally listen to lyrics all that much, but it works so well. The lyrics are absolutely brilliant. But I do think it's one of the most amazing pop songs.
It is absolutely brilliant, actually. Yeah, and it is one of those songs that is on, again, many of my playlists. It's got a sort of modernized ABBA to it, I think, in the lyrics. Actually, it's that sort of suburban angst that everybody can relate to. It's not saccharine romance; it's real pleading, sort of sadness and frustration in it, and it all comes out in her voice as well. The stuff that I love Röyksopp, but the stuff they've done with Robin is the best stuff that they've done, because her voice is just so full of emotion and slightly cold at the same time, which is kind of weird. It's and it just carries you along in it, in the song, and you totally understand where she's coming from. It's almost like it's something she's lived, it's almost sounds like it's autobiographical. Yeah, it's just a stormingly good song, this.
And I think just thinking about it more, it's one of those songs that I can't imagine how anybody made it, because it's so good. So not just the craftsmanship of the tune, because it is just unbelievable when you hear it. It's just incredible. But the production and the way it sounds, for me, it's like, this is to me how if somebody was to write a song specifically for me, to make it sound like sonically exactly how I like a song to sound, and to put in the chords and the stuff that would just get me, loving it. This is just it. Absolutely love it. All right, let's go with it. This is Röyksopp and The Girl and the Robot.
I go mental every time you leave for work. You never seem to know when to stop. I never know when you'll return. I'm in love with a romance in the night. Call you up and wanna know when you're coming home.
Oh, that's quite good.
It's very good indeed.
Quite good. Right. What's number 3?
So I'm going to carry on with the sense of suburban relationship angst, I think, with a sort of acknowledged classic, which is on top of lots of people's favourite songs of all time lists. So I'm not being particularly original, but this is Love Will Tear Us Apart by Joy Division. Again, just from the beginning, it's a statement from the opening kind of like salvo of guitars. Obviously released just after Ian Curtis died, and it sort of gave you a sense of where they were going. It's so much more sophisticated than anything else they did, and it's kind of it's sad and uplifting at the same time. Musically kind of uplifting, lyrically sad, very sophisticated. And sort of came out of nowhere, really. Everybody in this is on absolutely at the top of their game, I think. And there's not a lot you can say about it, really, because it's one of those songs that it's so ubiquitous. There's a couple of songs on my list that are ubiquitous, but have never outlived their welcome. Have always, they're always good to listen to, no matter where they are. And there have been some absolutely awful cover versions of it. It's one of those songs that is almost impossible to cover. Although you did play a cover, the Biss cover that you played a couple of weeks ago was brilliant. We did talk then about Paul Young's version, which should just be struck from history, really. But this is, the original is always going to be the best, and it is a masterpiece. It just is a masterpiece. I don't think they would have gotten better than this if they'd continue. I don't think they would have been able to do better than this.
I think it's the thing about this song that's interesting is, like you say, it is ubiquitous, and we've both kind of grown up with it, basically. So it's very hard to kind of take a distance from it, to stand back from it. And I was just trying to think, because I think it's got such a specific sound. That's the thing to me, is that whenever you hear from the first second of it, you know what it's going to be, and it just occupies this particular type of sound with the drums and the whole atmosphere of the song. But if you sort of took that away and you just had it and you just looked at it as a song, it's a brilliant song. It's actually a brilliant sort of, I suppose, fairly sort of morose pop song. But if you judged it just as a pop song, it's a really good one. It's a really, really good one. Mm-hmm. And but it's like you say, I think it is very hard to replicate, because it's so again, sonically it just is kind of unique, it's become so ingrained in how people see it. Then doing anything different, delivering the song in any different way, is going to seem like a terrible thing to do. Sort of sacrilege almost.
And it's like the Girl and the Robot. Lyrically, it avoids all the histrionics that usually goes into a song of this type. It's very, very honest and pragmatic in the way that it's written, in such a way that everybody can relate to it, I think. And it's so desperate as a song, but again, just a beautiful thing to listen to as well.
All right, so here we go. This is Joy Division and Love Will Tear Us Apart.
Where is it?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a tune. The tune. Okay, what about we're on tune number 3 for me? Okay, so yeah, tune number 3. So this is a tune that that I've always really really loved, and I think it's only in the last couple of years I've sort of admitted to myself that actually it is one of my very very favourite tunes. So it's David Bowie. It's Ashes to Ashes, and yeah, I mean, there's not really a lot more I can say about it really. I love how it sounds. First of all, I love how it sounds. I think it's kind of, it's just it's just a completely unique sounding record to me. And I think as a pop song, it's wonky. It's kind of wonky pop to me. But it's just got this incredible tune. It's got the bits of it, like the start of it. Just as soon as it starts, you think, "Oh my God, this is unusual," but it's got an ace tune. And it's just quite. When I remember when it came out, because I was probably about 8 years old. I think it was about 1980, and it all sounded a bit kind of mysterious to me somehow. It was all a bit scary and a bit mysterious. But actually, even within that, you still picked out this incredible tune. It was still really kind of engaging as a song. And yeah, I mean, again, I always love the last couple of minutes of songs when they kind of resolve themselves and they finish up. And again, this has got a brilliant last couple of minutes to it as well. But again, it just sounds brilliant. So it's one of those songs that hasn't dated at all. It just still sounds absolutely brilliant, as does most of that whole LP, actually. Scary Monsters. It's a fantastic LP. Yeah, so there we go. Dame David.
It's this is probably Bowie at the last point in his career when he was just one step ahead of everybody else. He started sort of following after this a little bit, and his output wasn't as good because of it. But somehow he was managed to stay one step ahead of everyone, and it completely preempted sort of new romanticism, but did it in a way which was kind of unsettling and a bit alien. He kind of didn't sound human or appear to be human at this point. This was kind of the peak of that, I think. And it's just an event. The whole thing's an event. The song is perfection. But the video as well, even though the video is sort of very much 80s special effects and costuming, it looks like it's been broadcast from another planet even now. And so does the song in a way. And it's him being self-reverential as well, which he hadn't ever done before, sort of acknowledging stuff that he'd done, characters he'd created in the past, with Major Tom and all that kind of thing. It's sort of his peak Bowie, I think, even though people would go on about Low, which is a great album and, being his masterpiece. It's definitely one of his finest songs, and it happened quite a while after, people think of his creative peak. It's great.
Right, here we go then. This is David Bowie, Ashes to Ashes.
Say it's true. They got a message from the action man. I'm happy, hope you're happy too. I've loved all I've needed love, saw the details fall away. The shrieking when nothing is killing, just pictures of trap girls and synthesis. And I ain't got no money and I ain't got no hands. But I'm hoping to kick back the planet is glowing. Ashes to ash and fuck to fuck it. We know Major Tom's a junkie, strung out in heaven's high, hitting an all-time low. Time and again I tell myself I'll stay clean tonight, but the little green wheel control. I've never done good things. I've never done bad things. I never did anything out of the blue. Whoa. Wanna next to break the ice. Wanna come down right now. Ashes to ashes, funk to funky. We know Major Tom's a junkie. Strung out in heaven's high, hitting an on-time road. My mama said, to get things done, you better not mess with Major Tom. My mama said, to get things done, you better not mess with Major Tom. My mama said, to get things done, you better not mess with Major Tom. My mama said, to get things done, you
Yeah, that's good.
It
That's
is
a
very
good
good.
It's a good tune. Okay, so yeah, we're kind of bashing through these. We're on number 4. What's your number 4?
So you've kind of forced my hand because I also have a tune by Dame David. And this is, but it's a very specific version of a song, which again is one of those ubiquitous tunes that everybody kind of wheels out at certain times. Everybody says is great. But this is it's sort of the 12-inch, it's a 12-inch version of Heroes, but it's the English and German combined version. So it's 6 minutes long. And he does half of it in English and half of it in German, and then goes back into English in the end. And I mean, I've always loved this song, but there have been a few things recently that have really sort of elevated for me again. Is when the UK Olympic team walked on to this at the opening of the 2012 Olympics, I literally burst into tears at that point. Just everything came together for some reason. I don't know why. I think I was so in awe of that whole opening spectacle and how well it sort of conjured up everything that I loved about being British. And then when our guys walked onto this, it was just a moment of utter joy. And then at the end of Jojo Rabbit, where this closes out Jojo Rabbit, again, tears straight away, just when everything's over. And have you seen the movie?
I haven't, no.
Oh, I may have just led to a spoiler, but it won't ruin it for you. It's just a moment. It's just a moment at the very end. But it's just a song that, again, is a little bit about desperation. It's not about a happy relationship. It's about a relationship that's in trouble. But there's still sort of crashing on through it. And it's like I say, it's got that sort of that just deep sense of emotion to it. But it's also hopeful. And I've chosen this version because there's something about him singing it in German which ramps up that emotion as well and makes it just even more relatable. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I know that, I mean, we all know that he recorded this album in Berlin, and for him to sing it in German almost brings it back closer to him and his experiences at the time, maybe. Also, it just means that it's twice as long as it would be ordinarily. So, this is definitely, it's just a song that just makes my heart swell and makes me, brings tears to my eyes every time I hear it.
Yeah, it's a brilliant tune. And I didn't know there was a version that was in English and German. So I'll be fascinated to hear it. And obviously anything that makes this song longer is good. Okay, here's David Bowie and Heroes.
You will be queen. 'cause we're lovers. That is right. Though nothing will keep us together, we could still die just for one day. We can be heroes forever and ever. What you say? Könntest du schwimmen wie Delfine? Delfine ist schön. Niemand gibt uns eine Chance, doch können wir siegen für immer und immer. Und wir sind dann Heaven für einen Tag.
Brilliant stuff. Fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, well, we could just do this all day, couldn't we? Our favourite tunes. I mean, this is lovely. They're so good. Okay, so I'm on tune number 4 of mine. And this is another one that I've sometimes kind of quoted as my favourite ever tune. And it's really hard to kind of escape this one because I just absolutely love it. This is Electronic and Get the Message. And Electronic, for people who don't know, was kind of a mini supergroup in the 1990s, made up of Johnny Marr from the Smiths and Bernard Sumner from New Order, occasionally joined by the Pet Shop Boys when they felt like it. And for me at that time, it was almost unbelievable. It was like sort of God had said, "I'll tell you what, let's put your two favourite bands together and then chuck in your other favourite band, and let's just make something amazing." And the amazing thing about them was that they were as good as the sum of their parts. I mean, you sort of, when they announced it, I thought, oh, this is going to be a mistake, because there's no way you can have New Order and the Smiths together and sounding amazing. But again, their first LP is my favourite LP ever, and this song is just, I absolutely love it. It's almost difficult to talk about it. I love it so much because this is a specific version of it as well. It's the 7-inch version that was not released. So apparently they played this version on Piccadilly Radio in Manchester, and Bernard Sumner and Johnny Marr were listening while they played this as a kind of, to try it out, and they didn't like the sound of it.
Why? What was it they didn't like?
I'm not sure, but this was what happened, and so they went and remixed it. So it's not mixed in the sound wise differently. They've just sort of put bits in different places. But I think it's easily the best version because it's got a couple of extra bits in it. The sequence is much better, and it's got this. The best thing about this song is the bits of feedback that Johnny Marr does with the guitar, the sort of tuned feedback just at the right places for it. There's also a bit. It leaves the best bit towards the end where it sounds like there's a kind of seal rutting with an electric guitar. It's just absolutely amazing song, and I think when Johnny Marr was being asked about it, he said, he thinks it's probably either the best song or one of the very best songs he's ever written, and because it is, and it's again it does sound slightly dated now just because of perhaps the sort of the drums in it a little bit are a bit muffled, but other than that, it's just an incredible tune.
It seems unlikely, doesn't it? It seems so incredibly unlikely. When we first heard about this happening, that New Order, or Bernard Sumner from New Order, Johnny Marr, and the Pet Shop Boys were going to come together to make an album. It seemed very much too good to be true, and yet weird. But it's I mean, I've confessed that I've not investigated them enough for some reason. I don't know why I haven't. But it's obviously a quality tune, this. And didn't Johnny Marr say that Electronic was his favourite band that he'd been in as well? So
Probably.
that says, yeah, it's great. It's a very good one.
Okay, here we go. This is Get the Message by Electronic.
Feet tall.
That's how you do feedback. That's how you do feedback. Brilliant. So it's our last one. It's your last one of the 5. Well, so this is big. What is it going to be?
This is big. This is big. And this is a song that is not typical of my usual listening. And it's a song that was introduced to me by a friend. He was very much into proper music. He was a good guy, and he introduced me to lots of bands, but he was quite serious about his music. And he said, you've got to hear this song. It's one of my favorite songs. And it's by Glenn Campbell. And I was thinking, and this was in the late 90s. I think, Glenn Campbell? Really? Isn't that just the same as listening to Tammy Wynette or Dolly Parton? What? And it's Wichita Lineman, which is, it's a film of a song in a way. It's like a big epic story, but also very intimate in itself as well. The music is very big. It's got lots in it. It's got big chimey guitars. It's got strings. It's got all the big production. But the story that's in it was very, very intimate, and some of the best lyrics ever written, basically, particularly around relationships. It's one of the best lyrics ever written, and the best line about love ever written, just beyond denial. I need you more than want you, and I want you for all time. Sums up everything that you want to feel in a relationship. And it's a story about a guy working on the telegraph poles in the middle of nowhere somewhere in America, and wanting to go home to see his girlfriend, and he can't because his job never ends and is dictated by the weather and all sorts of other stuff. And it's just a beautiful, achingly romantic song that I would never have expected to be on my top 5 list of songs, but it's just it's always there. It's always there. And again, whenever it comes on, listen to it all the way through and instantly want to put it on again. Yeah.
Well, to me, it's like it's a song about isolation and loneliness and the human condition. That's what it's about. And it's I mean, I think I would put this in my top 5 as well. It's just that I find it hard to listen to this song because it makes me feel so emotional, because it's so powerful in the way it's, like you're right, and the way the lyrics work, and just the things that it conjures up in your head is just of these huge desert plains and some guy in this tiny little sort of shack little village doing these things of being far away from people he loves, and just thinking about that. And it's just an incredibly powerful song, isn't it? It's just an amazing record. And I think it's one of those songs that people maybe don't know what it's called, or they maybe don't know who it's by, but if you play it, people go, oh, that one, because I've read articles about this song online, and that there's something about this song that I think really gets to a lot of people, even though you have to kind of play it to identify what it actually is. I think there's something about it, definitely.
Yeah, it is. It's a capsule of perfection, really. It's its own thing.
Well, let's play it then. This is Glenn Campbell and Wichita Lineman.
I am a lineman for the county, and I drive the main road, searching in the sun for another overload. I hear you singing in the wire, I can hear you through the whine, and the Wichita lineman is still on the line. I know I need a small vacation, but it don't look like rain. And if it snows, that stretch down south won't ever stand the strain. And I need you more than want you. Wichita lineman is still on the line. And I need you more than want you, and I want you for all time. And the Wichita lineman is still on the line.
Ah, well,
It's an experience. It's a very
what
amazing
can you say? Yeah, amazing tune. So, well, it's my last one, and with this, I guess we're kind of getting towards the end of this little block of shows. But for my last one, I've selected a tune that is from one of the bands that I sort of have loved the most, or I've played the most during my life, and for me, it's their very, very best song, and it's the Pet Shop Boys, and it's left to my
Which one?
it's left to my own devices because it has to be. It's just, I don't know, it's just a completely joyous record. And again, we've talked about some of the songs. I mean, you talked about Radiohead and Paranoid Android being unusual. This is a really unusual song. This is sort of somebody kind of rapping in a sort of deadpan way about boring things that are going on in their life, and it's just absolutely stunning. And it was part of the LP Introspective, which is actually possibly my favorite Pet Shop Boys album. Some of the tracks were produced by Trevor Horn, which made them even more huge and all encompassing, but actually others were just remixes of other songs. Like they did a remix of a B-side called I Want a Dog, which was done by Frankie Knuckles, which made it just this incredible tune. Yeah, it was a bit of a rubbish song basically, but then he just transformed it into this incredible sort of house tune. It's just absolutely amazing. But anyway, left to my own devices, it's almost a song about nothing basically. It's almost like a sort of Seinfeld song. It's a song about nothing, but it's just really unusual. It's got an amazing chorus. The one that I've chosen is the version from Introspective, so it goes on for 8 minutes. And I think it needs that time for it to kind of develop as a song. And there's just these lovely bits where it sort of they'll go from the chorus and it'll just build up again with the piano, and there'll be a bit of drums and a bit of bass line, and it's a bit more of a sparse song than the Pet Shop Boys used to do. They're normally used to throwing layers and layers of stuff at their songs, whereas this one, the song has got a bit more room to breathe, I think. And it sounds all the better for that, actually. And again, it's another thing that just hasn't dated at all. I mean, I think when a song is produced this well, it's not going to date. It just isn't going to date. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely love this. Definitely
my favorite Pet Shop Boys song. And again, one of those tunes, that similar experience. I remember hearing it for the first time. We must have heard it for the first time together. Similar experience to Paranoid Android. Just into it and thinking, what on earth? This is amazing, but what is it? How does this exist? How does this song exist? It's so completely different to what they've done, yet very Pet Shop Boys. It's like Pet Shop Boys turned up to 11 in a way, because it's got that very English kind of sensibility to it. It's sort of lyrically a cousin to Party Fears 2, which is, it's a song about nothing and very descriptive of nothing happening, yet treated with a massive kind of sense of scale. And obviously it's got big strings in it, which I always love, but it's a song that I always get excited to hear. And any version of it that comes on, I like the I think it's the disco mix myself, because it's got a bit in the middle where it just stops and then it comes back in again with the sound of an airplane, which is just hilarious and weird and joyous and fantastic. Yeah, it's the peak of Pet Shop Boys for me. Yeah, I love it, and it's Trevor Horn, obviously, and we've talked about Trevor Horn quite a lot throughout this whole thing. It's just quality. It's a big, fun, quality song that I love.
I think actually it's a good point of saying peak Pet Shop Boys, because I think it's the time when they really, really felt confident. Because I think the ones that they'd done before, that they'd done 2 or 3 LPs, they were incredibly successful. This was just kind of at the almost at the top of their imperial phase, as Neil Tennant called it. This has got Always on My Mind on it. It's they're not going to have many more number ones after this. This was absolutely, and you get the sense with Left to My Own Devices that they felt they could do something a bit sort of off kilter. So even the way he delivers it, he goes like "Party Animal." He's trying to make it sound boring. He's trying to sound it's trying to sound awkward. And he's got lyrics like Che Guevara and Debussy to a disco beat. I mean, it's just really kind of knowingly annoying intellectual stuff, and they're doing it just because they're just like prodding away, going, "Well, this is us," So if you don't like it, go away. But of course, it's just amazing, and I think this is this is kind of such a true reflection of what they're about. This song to me.
It's a good point, actually. I mean, it's done with a sense of irony, but it's not smug at all. And it does sound a little bit like them sort of just poking back at their detractors who thought they were overly intellectual and too English, and just saying, well, we're going to just go for it then and do everything that you hate, and we're going to do it brilliantly. And they did.
So before we play out with the Pet Shop Boys, thank you for listening to this show. This is going to be the last for a little while in this particular series, but we may well come back with a few more. And thanks for listening. Anyway, here is the Pet Shop Boys and Left to My Own Devices.
if you want to belong. I was a lonely boy, no strength, no joy, in a world of my own, at the back of the garden. I didn't want to compete or play out on the street, or in a secret life. I was a roundhead general. I could leave you, say goodbye, or I could love you if I tried, and I could. And left to my own devices, I probably would. Left to my own devices, I probably would. Oh, I would. I was faced with a choice at a difficult age. Would I write a book, or should I take to the stage? But in the back of my head I heard distant feet, Che Guevara and Debussy to a disco beat. It's not a crime when you look the way you do, the way I like to picture you. When I get home, it's late at night, I pour a drink and watch the fight. Turn off the TV, look at a book, pick up the phone, fix some food. Maybe I'll sit up all night and day, waiting for the minute I hear you say, I could leave you, say goodbye, or I could love you if I tried, and I could.
Radio Lewes. Local community webcasting.